Okay, now we are at the last module of this particular session, which is Microsoft Azure AI Fundamentals, focusing on generative AI, or in short, Gen AI. Is one of the most popular module of recent time, and obviously chatgpt is something which is a very famous word now, which is a part of generative AI. So let's focus on this module. In this module, first we are going to focus on fundamentals of generative AI, what kind of things we need to understand inside this, and then fundamentals of Azure OpenAI service. Now, as we know, OpenAI is a separate company, and they are the one who has invented something which is known as ChatGPT. Now, OpenAI is separately available as a service from openai.org, as well as we have a collaboration of OpenAI with Azure, which is known as Azure OpenAI service. In this module, we'll see how we can provision that service, what kind of things we have to keep in mind, and how we will use it. At the end of this, we have to explore responsible generative AI principles. Now, we know we have a responsible AI principles which we have seen in the first module of this course. Same way, while using generative AI also, there are certain guidelines which we have to keep in mind. Those things we are going to see in this module. The learning objectives are going to focus on first what is actually generative AI and how it actually works. What kind of architecture it follows is all things which we are going to see in the first part. In the second step, we are going to focus on describing the capabilities of large language models, formerly known as LLM. These LLMs are those models which are created by organizations like OpenAI, and these models are actually providing the knowledge base kind of association for your generative content. You can generate text, you can generate images, you can actually try to understand and analyze text based on that. There are many capabilities generative AI is having. All this are because of these large language models. And then we are going to focus on the third one, which is understand how to use Azure OpenAI to create a generative AI solutions. We'll focus on how we can create this and how we can configure Azure OpenAI service in this module. Now let's start with fundamentals of generative AI. Definition wise, what is generative AI? Now, we already know AI is something which is going to imitate human behavior by using machine learning to interact with the environment and execute tasks without explicit directions on what to output. Now, this is a simple common definition of AI which we have seen in the first module also, which is like it's going to mimic the human behavior. While in the other case, we have generative AI, which is going to create an original content. Remember, using natural language generation, image generation, and code generation, whatever things which are generated by generative AI, all will be an original content. Now, this generated content is going to be not going to have any copyright association with that, and it's not a copy of any existing content available on the internet. Generative AI application can take this kind of a natural language input, maybe from the text or speech, and then it can return the appropriate responses in variety of formats, like it is mentioned here. Now, because we need to understand generative AI, we need to understand how it is working. And the first step in that is large language models. Generative AI applications are powered by LLM, and these are a specialized type of machine learning models that you can use to perform natural language processing tasks, which includes like determining the sentiment or classification of the natural language text. It can help you to summarize the text, even the lengthy documents. It can help you to compare multiple text sources for semantic similarities, and then it can give you what similarities or differences are there. And it can also help you to generate a new natural language where a totally fresh new content will be generated based on that. Now, when we have LLM, large language models, the next question which arises, how it is working? What kind of things are actually generating this kind of a new content? Well, the answer of that is this. We have a model called transformer model. For your kind information, if you already know GPT, the full form of GPT is Generative Pre-trained Transformer. Now, in this case, the word transformer is actually representing to this model, which is known as transformer. This is the core architecture, which consists of two main parts. There are two parts which are here. You can see there is one thing called encoder and there's another thing called decoder. the encoder block that creates semantic representation of a training vocabulary. So whatever input which you're going to provide inside this is going to use the encoder to analyze and understand that with the existing vocabulary which are available with that. Then the decoder block is going to generate the new language sequences. Let's say you're going to provide some kind of a text input, which is one statement in English language. When you're going to provide this, the first thing which is going to happen is going to tokenize this each word of this particular phrase. That token is nothing but a numeric token, which is going to represent a unique number associated with that. The tokens are assigned in embedding, and then this is going to be converting that into a vector values with multiple dimensions. Now, if you don't know what is a tokenization, I strongly recommend you to go to an OpenAI website link, which is this platform.openai.com/tokenizer. When you go there, and if you just put some particular text there, it's going to show you how GPT 3.5, 4 and GPT 3, which was a legacy version of that, is going to tokenize any content. Let's say I'm going to put some text here like, I am learning Azure OpenAI, and it is really useful for my day-to-day work. Now when I put this is one particular statement, but if you see at the below this, it's showing me that this statement is containing total 18 tokens. Each token is going to be associated with the multiple characters which are used in each word. Now when I want to see these tokens, we have a text which is here, and if I click on the token ID, it's generating some particular numeric values associated with that. Each value associated with that word is going to be unique. Sometimes it's also going to count a group of words into that. Now this whole configuration is something which is known as tokenizer, and every time when you have provided any text in generative transformer model, it's going to first tokenize that, and that's what that first step is actually all about. After tokenization, we have something which is known as attention. Now if you see this transformer model, you need to understand this transformer model from the bottom to this particular flow. So the flow is going to be starting from this input text, then it's going to this way, and then it's going to be giving you the output at the end of this. So this is how you have to understand that. The first step is input text, which is going to have a tokenization associated with that, and after that the embedding is going to start, which is going to have the vector generated with that. Once the vector is there, inside the encoder block, initially the vocabularies are going to be associated with this vector, and then in the decoder block is going to generate the content. That is what actually going to happen. But now inside encoder and decoder block, we have multiple attentions which are available here. You can see each part of this is actually nothing but some kind of an attention. What is an attention? Then attention layer is going to examine each token in turn and then determine the embedding values that reflect the semantic relationship between the tokens. In simple words, when you have multiple tokens associated with each other, obviously in a statement, multiple words are going to be related with each other, because ultimately a statement is nothing but sequence of multiple words. How one word is connected with other one, that's going to define the meaning of the statement. And that's exactly same thing what attention is doing. While taking the input and while generating the output, words should be organized in the proper order. Then only this is going to be coming to a proper meaningful statement. And that's what these attention blocks are actually doing. In the decoder side, the relationships are used to predict the most probable sequence of the token. So sequencing in the input is going to decide the sequencing in the output. That's how the generative transformer model works. Now, going deep dive into transformer model is something which is required if you're going to work on OpenAI or any other generative transformer models. But as a part of this particular course, I think that is something which is out of the scope, so we are not going into that depth. But yes, these words tokenization, embeddings, encoder, decoder block, and attention. If you understand these terms, then this is something which is more than enough for this particular module. This slide is showing you how tokenization is going to work, as I have shown you in that website. Once you put a statement, like here we have an example sentence, which is, I heard a dog bark loudly at a cat. Now when I see this here, each word is going to be generated with one numeric value. Here we are just having a values like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, but in real tokenization, it's going to have a unique ID associated with that each word, as I have shown you in that website link. Then that is what tokenization is going to happen. After this, they are going to convert that into a vector, which is going to be a, you can say, 3-dimensional object associated with that. And that is what which is going to happen in embeddings. So the relationship between these tokens are captured as vectors, and these are something which are known as embeddings. That's the definition of embeddings. In short, it's going to think like a 3-dimensional box kind of thing. Each word, which is a dog or a cat or a bark, is all going to happen and associate with this kind of a vector. Once you have the vectors, it's going to associate that, okay, if we have a bark, that is how it is going to be associated with the dog, and if we have a cat, the cat is going to sound like meow, something like that. The relationship between word is going to happen. Finally, after this, we have a third stage, which is attention, which is happening in encoder and decoder, both the blocks. This is going to capture the strength of the relationship between the tokens using the attention technique. This is one of the useful technique of transformer model, where it's going to pass on this vector graphics into this particular neural network, and those neural networks are going to process this information, finding the relationship between those words, and then generating the content based on that. The repetitive process of this is going to happen multiple times, and that is what which is going to take care of the processing of generative content. Copilots are often integrated into your existing applications and is going to provide a way better for users to get help with the common task of the generative AI model. Now, it can help you to integrate with your existing applications like Microsoft Office, or maybe your Microsoft Edge browser, or even with the Windows operating system. The best way to use it is maybe in the Bing search engine, where while searching it, you can use the generative AI associations with that. Using this, developers can build Copilot that submit prompts to a large language models and generate content for the use in application. Business users can use Copilot to boost their productivity, save their time while generating the content, and making sure that their creativity with AI generated content is going to be smoothly working with that. Now, as you can see here in the slide, in the Microsoft PowerPoint, we are able to generate images with the help of Copilot if you integrate it with that. What are the other options? As I said, we have Edge browser available with Copilot. We have Bing Copilot also while searching, as well as we have GitHub Copilot, which can generate a code content for you in various programming languages, which can help you and save you a lot of time with that. I strongly recommend you to try some of the Microsoft Learn labs of Copilots if you're really interested in that. Now, let's talk about improved generative AI responses with prompt engineering. The quality of responses that generative AI application returns not only depends on the large language model itself, it is actually something which is a type of the prompt which you have given. And that is where the term prompt engineering is coming into the picture. This is again one of the popular terms. Both developers who design the application and consumers who use the application can improve the quality of responses from generative AI by using a direct language. You can provide system messages, you can provide the input in the text format, or you can provide something which is some kind of an example known as few shot or one shot kind of a thing, and using that you can improvise your response which you are getting from the generative AI. Now, these prompts are the way by which you can tell the application what you actually want this application to do. And when you're providing this configuration, writing a good prompt is going to help you to achieve a desired better result when you submit a clear and a specific prompts with that. Like you can see here, we have a table which is showing you a description and the example of that particular prompt engineering method. Now you can use a direct language, like in the description is saying that you can get most of the useful completions by being explicit about the kind of response you want. So while specifying in the direct language, you can say create a list of 10 things to do in Edinburgh during August. Now when you say create a list, it is obviously going to give you a bulleted list kind of a thing. So you're directly specifying in the language that what exactly you're looking for. Same way you can see we have a configuration of system message in most of the chatbot kind of a configuration. In the system message you can specify how that chatbot is going to behave and act. So you can see you are specifying you are a helpful assistant that responds in a cheerful and friendly manner. So what kind of assistant is this, how it is going to respond, all this we have to specify inside the system message configuration. Very soon I'm going to show you on Azure AI a demo in which we are going to use chatbot with some kind of a customized system messages with that. Providing examples, so you can specify multiple examples that how you want to use that. Like this is something which I say that like few shot, one shot kind of thing. So you can visit the castle in the morning before the crowds arrive. Now this is one particular example which we are providing, and then this is something which is known as few shot learning. So while giving the question, you're also suggesting that this kind of answer we are expecting, and we are giving some example of that. And finally, the fourth one is we have grounding data. So we can include our grounding data to provide the context. Like we can include an email text with the prompt, which is like summarize my email. So you're already providing an email and then you're just specifying summarize this email with that. So you're already providing grounding data, and based on that you're expecting some kind of a response. This is what prompt engineering is all about. But again, this is also one of the topic which is super huge. You can spend days, if not months, if you want to deep dive into prompt engineering. Right now, let's understand this prompt engineering configuration properly in our Azure OpenAI service. But yes, there is one exercise which is available on Microsoft Learn. If you have a time, you can try the generative AI with Bing Chat Copilot. Now, you know Bing is a search engine from Microsoft. You can use Bing search engine, and inside that you can configure Copilot, and then you can generate content using that. That is what this particular exercise is actually trying to show you. I strongly recommend you to go with that. But in our case, we are directly going to use Azure OpenAI service now.